What is going on, boys, and welcome back to the channel. Today hopefully we can get this thing fired up. I totally forgot that when I put the dash 10 oil drain on, I cut it with an angle grinder. There's lots of shit in the line. I never cleaned it out, and I decided it would be a great idea to install it like that. So first things first, let's get that dash 10 oil drain line off, plumb the blow off valve, plumb the wastegate. We still have, I have a boost gauge, and now it's a long lost boost gauge because we tore this whole shop up, and guess where my boost gauge is? Nowhere to be found. So clean out the drain line, plumb the vacuum, fill with fluids, put the battery in, and hopefully, knock on wood, cross your fingers, pray for me, we can get this thing started. Gonna be on OE injectors, OE pump, OE map sensor, and OE spark plugs just to fire it up and hear this thing, make sure there's no leaks with the new oil lines, try and bleed the coolant as best we can for now, make sure the new E-fans work, and then we can go into putting the map, the spark, the fueling, and actually get it tuned. Without further ado, let's get going. So boys, as we can see, the drain is sandwiched in there, so I think our first plan of attack is taking this intercooler pipe off, and hopefully we'll be able to get to the dash 10 oil drain with the turbo on, because I swear to God, I'm not taking this off. On another note, with the down pipe, if you guys remember last week's video, if you haven't, go check it out. It's in the corner up here, and then come back and watch this video. Our down pipe was flush over here, and then right back here, it had some gaps. I don't know if you guys can see that too well or not, but there is no more gaps. Basically, the hot side of the turbo was good, down pipe was not, so we had a huge stand-up disc sander at my fabricator's, and we just sanded this unit until it was flat, and what do you know, meets up perfectly. But let's go ahead, take the intercooler pipe off, get this drain off, clean it, and away we go. Okay fellas, intercooler pipe is off. Now let's climb under there and see if I can't get this drain off while the turbo is still in the car. Okay boys, and there goes the oil drain line. I had to take it off with the fitting still on it, and it's a good thing I did that because well, there was no gasket on it, so that's fantastic. So let's go ahead and put a gasket on this thing, clean this line out, and we should be mint. Okay boys, well that might have all been for nothing, but not really, because I ran some warm water through this and some brake clean, and nothing came out. I did put a little bit of oil through it too, and all three fluids were clear as can be. But it is good because this would have leaked bad, and I did not put a gasket on that. Why I didn't put a gasket on that, I don't know, because the feed has a gasket. I guess I just never put a drain gasket on, so that's awesome. At least we got that, but the line was clean after all. Now the question is, in my mess of garbage, do I have a gosh darn gasket? Does not look like I have a gasket. I need to go do some soul searching. I did it to myself again, boys. I did it to myself again. The gasket is stuck on the turbo itself. God damn it. Okay, well I don't want this thing to leak because there was oil all around it and it was most definitely tight. So I'm just gonna do the classic gasket maker just on the surface. Just like that on both sides, we should be mint, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing back in the car. Okay boys, oil drain is cleaned, RTV'd, cinched up, all back on. Now that we have this intercooler piping loose, since it's basically touching the turbo manifold, we're gonna go ahead and heat wrap it. And I'm gonna steal the heat wrap from my old NA header, so let's get on it. Change of plans. I'm gonna have to cut these straps off, and I don't have any more metal ties, only zap straps, and those aren't gonna work very well. So I'm gonna have to order some more heat roll with some more metal ties before I can do anything, because yeah. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and quickly slap the intercooler pipe back on. You've seen that a million times, and I'll pick it back up once we start plumbing the blow-off valve and the wastegate, and then it's time for first start, baby. Let's go! All right guys, intercooler pipe is on, feed is on, drain is on, downpipe is bolted to the turbo, but we gotta connect the V-band to the mid pipe. Once that is done, I can go ahead and plumb the wastegate to the turbo, and then the blow-off valve, I think we'll just tap into this guy right here. Seems like a good freaking option. Fill it with fluids, and I think we're golden. I do have to pop the valve cover off, make sure I cleaned it underneath because it was a used cover, and I can't remember if I cleaned it, but it's just a couple Allens and a ground. Should be easy.
And people ask me why V-bands. That's why. No gasket, no nothing, simple as. Downpipe, done.
Turbo side intercooler piping is back on. We have got the oil drain back on. Downpipe is bolted up. Now it's time for vacuum lines. I got the thick boys from the wastegate to the turbo, and then I got the skinny boys from blow-off valve to vacuum source on the intake manifold with my fittings and tees right there. So let's go ahead, start with the wastegate and move on to the blow-off, fill with fluids. We are so close. All right, boys, I had to take the wastegate off in order to get the fitting on, but it is on, thread sealed, and I've cut this down to size because it was a hair too long. I've also got this DEI fire sleeve and heat tape, so I'm gonna be going and cutting a chunk of this to match the length of that, just so it's all nice and wrapped up. I've never used this stuff before. It's my first time, so you get a little roll of heat tape or glue of some sort. That's your line right there. Oh, so looks like you just cut it to size and feed it through, so that's awesome. Okay, so if I'm correct, I think that's, yeah, that'll be good enough to fit through there, and it slides through fairly easily, which is sick. It's probably fiberglass, so don't get that on you. My measurements are measuring. We are right there. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. Perfect length, boys. First try, eyeballed it. I mean, come on. So now we just go ahead, slide our vac line through. Ah, fuck yeah, this is not gonna be easy at all. Once I've got this slid through, we'll pick it back up. Holy shit, I hope you guys never have to do that. This was like mission impossible, and now it's all like ribbed up and weird. Kind of got to stretch it back out. This stuff is so hard to get on. I thought it slid easy. It does for the first little bit, but the best method I could come up with was once your vacuum line is in the fire sleeve, push the fire sleeve together, then hold it, pull the fire sleeve down like caterpillar method. That is the best way I find to do this. This was fucking painful. Regardless, it's done. Let's put it on the car and move on. And boys, just like that, our wastegate to turbo vacuum line is on with the fire sleeve going right into the wastegate, right underneath the downpipe right there. Top one vents to atmosphere, so there you have it. Now let's go ahead and put the blow-off valve to right here with a little tap. Pull the valve cover, make sure it's clean, fill with oil, fill with coolant. Boom, boom. Vacuum line bit your boy. And the one that I pulled off is too big for our freaking hose. God damn it. So since that line was too big right here, I'm gonna go ahead and snip the fuel pressure regulator and tie into that for the blow off valve. And there we have it, boys, teed into the fuel pressure regulator. I'm sure you guys will eat me alive down in the comments below if that is not a good place to put it. And if it isn't, I'll just get a new line for that. Let's run this over to the blow-off valve, fill it with fluids, and hear this thing finally. Let's go. Okay, time for a little recap. Intercooler pipe is on. Oil drain is cleaned and on. Boost pressure source from turbo to wastegate is on. Blow off valve to intake manifold is on, nice and tucked in there. Also connected the wideband back there, which I almost forgot about. We're just gonna have to put these two butt connectors for the fan into our rad fan harness we've made down there. Super easy, 2 wires. Then all I have to do now is quickly take this line off because it's no longer needed. I'm gonna need to get a breather filter for this. Quickly pop off the valve cover and just make sure it's clean. Then we can add fluids and off we are. Okay boys, valve cover is all good to go. We are just gonna leave it how it is. Unfortunately, in the process, I was getting a little carried away and I end up losing a valve cover bolt, which sucks. But what are you gonna do? All right guys, well, I was a little bit of a dummy. I ended up losing one of the flush seat Allen heads for the kit. It flung into the engine bay and into the abyss. It's gone, doesn't really matter because next step is repainting this valve cover and putting the Speed Factory VTEC titanium nuts on this thing because that just is gonna look insane. For now, let's go ahead, fill it up with oil, fill it up with coolant, get this party on the road. All full of Motul oil. Engine oil is ready to go. Now let's pop this rad cap off, get the bleeder on there, and away we go, baby. And another thing I almost forgot, we got to get this rad fan wired in, just temporary for now with our old setup, just so she's ready to rip. We got our press stone ready to use. This rig is on there. Let's go ahead and fill the system. Make sure it ain't leaking out nowhere. All right, well, I'm sure you guys have seen this a million times, so I'm gonna leave it here so we have enough camera battery for the actual startup. Okay, boys, I think it's time to start this damn thing up. Are you ready? Holy shit. Got the Civic keys for the first time in a long time, and I think we're gonna go ahead and fire this thing up. Wastegate's on, downpipe's on, feed is on, drain is on. Oh, blow-off valve's not connected. Okay, wideband's connected, fuel's good, spark is good, that's good, coupler should be good, even though it's not really gonna be making any boost. Knock on wood, boys. Let's go fire this fucking thing up. I've just gotta get the O2 sensor to heat up. We've got fuel pressure, everything else looks good. Knock on wood for me, boys. Coolant is in there, ready to get bled. Oil is in. Let's just quickly take another peek. Right on the money. Literally perfect. There is going to be a little bit of smoke, so don't mind that. All the fingerprints on the new exhaust stuff has to burn off because there's oil in your hands, but let's start this thing. It's not as loud as I was thinking it would be at idle. We are freaking running right now. The coolant's like not even really bleeding or anything. It might have to open up first, but this line is still semi-collapsed. When you squeeze it, it gets some burbles going. So hopefully the coolant is being bled. Oh my goodness. We are freaking running though. AFRs are decent at idle. We're looking good, baby. We're looking real good right now, baby. Well, boys, I hate to do it to you, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave you on a bit of a cliffhanger here. We got the car running. Next step is paint the valve cover, do a road test with it. Once we know everything is good and the fan is properly wired, we can go ahead and put the injectors, pump, map sensor, spark plugs into it, and then finally get it tuned. This thing is loud, mean, and rowdy. I can't wait to show you guys what she does on the street. But for now, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Hit that notification bell too while you're at it. Peace.